Thor Odinson, son of Odin, is a powerhouse in Marvel Comics. Just like his real-world counterpart, Thor is the god of thunder, lightning, and the storm. And being from Asgard, he has all the standard superpowers. And then some. Strength, durability, speed, endurance, great hair, you name it. He also wields the mighty Mjolnir, a hammer made of the mystical metal Uru, which channels his powers and pretty much destroys everything it hits. Well, almost everything. As such, Thor has smited many a foe in his time, though contrary to popular belief, he ain't actually immortal, having died a couple of times in the comics, and though it looks like he'll get his ass kicked in Ragnarok, it's unlikely he'll meet his end anytime soon, which got the Doopie Bros thinking, who could possibly, maybe, almost certainly kill this guy?
While his movie outings to date have left a lot to be desired, particularly his debut appearance in Adventures in Babysitting, Thor has a rich history in the comics, and like a taller, more muscular, and more likeable Russell Crowe, he loves a bloody good fight, and never backs down from a challenge, no matter the odds. Sadly though, he's often downgraded to jobbing to lesser characters, so to demonstrate Thor's true capabilities, we'll be pitting him against some suitably powerful opponents, though in the interest of fair-ish fights, there'll be no one above all and no living tribunal. As always, we'll aim to vary the methods of kill, because we're sick and twisted like that, and just to clarify, this will be the real Thor fighting, not Jane Foster in cosplay, not Horse Thor, not Frog Thor, but regular non-Odin Force-powered Thor. So who made the list?
Number 5, Ultron.
The idea of artificial intelligence turning against its creators and trying to wipe out humanity is a mainstay in science fiction. Working as an update to Frankenstein's monster, robotic life forms have long been used as a metaphor for the dangers of man's meddling, and Ultron's no different. Created by Hank Pym before he got all wife-beaty, Ultron quickly developed beyond its programming and naturally sought to kill his pops and get with his mom. Sounds weird? Yeah, it is. Throughout their history, Ultron has been a major thorn in the Avengers' collective side, regularly engaging the entire team in combat and requiring their combined efforts to take him down.
Ultron was a little undersold in Avengers 2. Okay, a lot undersold. We see some of his power, but going hand to hand with Cap is one of the silliest MCU sequences to date. But I suppose when the really fast guy gets killed by a bullet, anything's fair game. Ultron comes in all shapes and sizes, and like his Asgardian opponent, has a vast array of powers, massive physical strength, various energy projection capabilities, flight, and an oh-so-sturdy adamantium body. Yep, Cap really should be a smear on the streets of Seoul. But against Thor, Ron has an actual challenge. The big guy has even been shown to dent adamantium in the past. And while Ultra's outer body is covered in that remarkable metal, his insides, like a pisshead after a curry, are vulnerable. When hit with enough force, they can be harmed. So you'd imagine the likes of Thor could do some major damage.
Physically, Thor probably just about edges it and can move faster, but Ultron is tactically smarter, despite his idiotic plan to drop a city on the world. At the very least, Ultron can utilize a legion of sentries to keep Thor busy. Again, not the crappy origami ones we saw in the movie. He can also transfer his programming to duplicate bodies, and being the devious bastard he is, he's come back time and again with even more advanced weaponry, making him practically unkillable. This evolution culminated in the miniseries Age of Ultron, in which the robot in disguise was able to wipe out several of Earth's mightiest heroes, including, you guessed it, Thor Odinson. In short, Ultron is an almighty opponent that Thor would struggle with on his lonesome.
Number 4, Sentry.
What do you do if you have no real Superman equivalent in your roster? Just make one up and pretend he's always been around. It's just that everyone forgot him, of course. Just like Supes, Sentry has all the powers. He can pretty much do as he likes, and he has a silly weakness too. But instead of a green space rock, Sentry's got an evil other half, like Bill Clinton. The Void, as it's known, comes a-calling every now and then, meaning poor old Sentry has to sacrifice himself to save the Earth, and then everyone forgets him all over again? When the Void isn't, voiding though, Sentry has immense power, supposedly equivalent to 1 million exploding suns. We're back on curries again. He's something of a merciless bastard too. Just ask Carnage, or Molecule Man, or Ares.
Thor and Sentry are pretty well matched. Both are very strong and durable with amazing endurance, so this bout could last a while. Thing is, Sentry's limits are something of an unknown. According to Nick Fury, S.H.I.E.L.D. has no idea how to kill him, and even Iron Man's tech couldn't find a weakness. On the rare occasion Sentry has been injured, he's simply reformed. So whatever Thor tries, it's highly unlikely he'll keep the Forgotten Man down. Perhaps the best measure would be Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, who faced off against both these giants and survived to tell the tale. Like Granny's bathroom sponge, he's taken some severe punishment over the years, but only against Sentry has he been vaporized after mere seconds.
So we're giving the power edge to Sentry here, but it's not like Thor has no chance. Comparing stats, he's superior in combat, has the hammer, Warrior's Rage, and as a last resort, the God Blast. But again, it's unlikely he'll keep Sentry down for the count, even though Hulk in his banner form managed to KO the guy. Kinda. After a drawn-out battle, we say Thor ends up like so many others, torn apart in space.
Number 3, Dormammu.
Ruler of the Dark Dimension, Dormammu is a being of vast mystical power. Longtime enemy of Stephen Strange, Dormy has an extensive list of abilities, which make him somewhere around Skyfather level. It's always hard to quantify magical power, and those classic Strange tales really did overpower their characters. But it's safe to say Dormammu is an enormous threat. He even took on Eternity for Christ's sake. Okay, this might be a little beyond Thor's usual capabilities, so we'll grant him the use of the Odin Force for this bout, and imbued with the power of a Skyfather himself, Thor has more than a chance, if he fights smart.
You might think Dormy easily stomps Thor, but there are tactics Blondie could use. For instance, Dormammu's power increases when inside the Dark Dimension. Even with the Odin Force, a fight here is unwinnable for Thor. Instead, he might try to goad the Master of the Mindless Ones out of the comfort of his nightmarish realm. Dormammu is known for being pretty hot-headed after all. And when it comes to trash talk, Thor excels. He even does it in Old English too.
So, with the Odin Force at his disposal and Dormy off his home turf, how would the fight play out? Instead of a cosmic chess match, we see this bout working like Thor vs Malekith in Dark World, with both characters travelling between dimensions, trying to one-up the other. Different realms offer different advantages, and one of Dormy's few weaknesses is that he can't fuel his mystical flames in certain environments, like in Kevin Costner's Waterworld. Thor could undoubtedly inflict some damage, but the Lord of Chaos has overcome Odin's magic in the past, like when he reverted Thor back to Donald Blake, and he's just too damn powerful. Despite his long list of abilities, Thor isn't capable of time travel, meaning he can't exploit Dormammu's biggest weakness, bargaining.
Number 2, Professor X.
It's Goldilocks versus Boldilocks. Yeah, it's a cheap move, but like we said, we need extremely powerful characters to take on Thor, so who better than one of the best telepaths in the business? A little known factoid about Thor is that he does have pretty effective psychic resistance, so this bout isn't as simple as it appears on paper. Charlie's powers are limited to Midgard, so Thor needs to be nearby. Perhaps the promise of meat and mead would be enough to draw him to the X-Mansion without raising suspicions. Throw in a wench too and you've sealed the deal. Now, obviously, one-on-one, Xavier doesn't stand much of a chance. Thor can move very fast and would make quick work of crippling breaking his, well, you get what we mean. As such, Charlie would require a few puppets to keep Thor at bay while working to break the Asgardian's mental barriers.
This may seem a little out of character for Charles, but the old slaphead has done some pretty iffy things in the comics, including killing his twin sister in the womb, faking his own death, and like Batman, creating secret how-to-kill guides for his beloved X-Men. In short, Charles is one manipulative mofo, so mind-controlling a few select students to soften Thor up ain't a huge stretch. We'd suggest Colossus, Storm, and Jean Grey to engage him initially, and unfortunately for Thor, blokes aren't known for their multitasking prowess, so it's just a matter of time before he succumbs to the Professor's mind tricks and gets shut down like one of those forgettable red shirts from the Matrix. Xavier might not be able to dance the can-can, but he can and will tear Thor's mind apart. Eventually.
Number 1, Loki.
And you thought it was gonna be Hulk. Loki may not be the strongest there is, but he is a devious son of a bitch. Well, son of an ice giant, but you know. He's famous for pulling the old Charlie Brown maneuver on his dim-witted bro, and demonstrating his tactical superiority. Thor always falls for it. We'd love to see him finally turn the tables in Ragnarok. Like Quaid in Total Recall. Ha 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 ha, you think this is the real Thor? It is. In terms of motivation, you're spoilt for choice. This pair are the definition of sibling rivalry, and Loki is reminded all too often of his inferiority. Though, unlike the other opponents on this list, Thor would probably go easier on his bro, as he often does. But to be fair to the god of mischief, he can handle himself in a brawl.
The yin to Thor's yang, and fittingly just as much a jobber as his bro, Loki Laufeyson would undoubtedly require some prep time to take on the god of thunder, but he's most certainly capable. Don't believe us? Well, Loki's actually the reason the Avengers originally assembled back in 1963. He also comprises all the attack methods we've described so far. Think about it, he can multiply himself just like Ultron, he has vast mystical power like Dormy, he's superpowered like Sentry, and can manipulate the shit out of others like Xavier.
Let's be honest, Loki's one of those characters whose main weakness is writing. When he should be winning, he's forced to lose because he's the bad guy. Not so in the 2004 Loki graphic novel. A pretty good exploration of how events might transpire when Loki finally defeats his brother and takes over as ruler of Asgard. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. In one scene, Loki peers into the multiverse to see an infinite number of Thors and Lokis battling for eternity, as Loki comes to realise he can't exist without his bro, just like the Doopies. So we reckon a fitting end to this bout would be a good old mutual destruction scenario, like Donnie and Kim. Thor and Loki may get reborn after the end of the world, but the rest of us aren't so lucky. Fingers crossed we're still around to see Infinity War. So there's our list. As you may have noticed, the winners were the ones we wanted to prevail. Make no mistake though, under different circumstances, Thor could beat these guys too, and in many cases, has. Look, it all boils down to personal opinion, so even if you don't agree, we at least hope we gave you a laugh. I mean, you can watch and enjoy movies produced by the Weinstein Company without condoning sexual harassment, right? Whatever your opinion, be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, and send us meat and mead. But not wenches, that's sexual harassment. Thanks for watching.